This episode is brought to you by Skills, the worldwide leader in mobile esports. Play the games you love and win real cash prizes. Go to skills.com/GFQ on your iOS or Android device. That's Skills with a Z. And download your favorite games. When you make a deposit, Skills will double it. And when you use the promo code GFQ, you'll get an additional $10 in free bonus cash. That's skills.com/GFQ. And by Stay Roasted, the ultimate fresh roasted coffee subscription. Get your first bag of coffee for free. You only pay the shipping when you visit stayroasted.com/GFQ. That's stayroasted.com/GFQ.
What's the take?
Hey everybody, welcome to What the Tech. I'm Andrews here, and I'm joined by the one, the only Mr. Holiday Season, Paul Theron. How you doing, Paul?
Pretty good.
Do you get into the holiday season? Do you get into Christmas and New Year's? Is this like, or are you just counting down the days for all this to end?
I love the holidays, Andrew, but so you have a little baby.
I do have a little baby, a tiny little baby.
So you've got years of pleasure ahead
I
of
thought you were talking about my brother.
Yes,
you're talking about my actual.
There are a few babies living in your house,
Yes.
but let's talk specifically about your daughter.
Yeah.
This, for me, I look back, I every day I look at the Google photo thing and I see photos from the past. In fact, I'm going to put one of these pictures on Instagram today. It's a picture of my kids putting bulbs and ornaments and things on the Christmas tree when they were like tiny.
Yeah.
And to me, that's what Christmas is all about.
Yeah, I mean, it's great. For that, what's interesting? This year, we had decided that we were not going to do this crazy Christmas that we do every year. We go overboard, and then we regret it a month later, and it's terrible. We had decided we were not going to do that. We really weren't. We don't really need anything. We don't really ask for much.
I don't think any of us do, really.
It's amazing, right? When you get older, when you just want something, you just go buy it. You don't wait till your birthday, then
if I want something now, it's going to arrive by Amazon by the time the show's over.
Yeah. But this year, I knew a couple things Jess had wanted, and she kind of had an idea what I wanted. And now I have no idea what she got me, which is great. And she has no idea what I got her. Well, I hope she doesn't. I think you guys do. Most
Sure.
of you people know because I've mentioned it a couple times, but it's an interesting year for us to celebrate this. But next year, I'll tell you this: the second kid, now he's getting the shit end of the stick because we're probably not going to do this big Christmas again, or maybe we will.
Oh, that will be normal for that person, right? So
yeah.
I mean,
the second one always gets.
Yeah, in many ways, of course. But you know what? This is something I've tried to infiltrate with my friends and get this idea across that. Giving presents is what ruins Christmas, is what ruins the holidays, like adding stress to what should be like a wonderful time of year. And I feel like, like I said, I think Christmas is about the kids. I mean, if you have little kids, do Christmas stuff for the little kids. Make it about them. And that will make it awesome for you.
I have a friend, and he had someone's knocking at my door. I think I had a delivery talking about packages from Amazon within. Paul, how did you know?
Actually, I did send you $1,000 Christmas present, by the way. So if you could,
one of my friends, he does well for a living, and him and his wife had this beautiful house and beautiful family. And November hit, and everybody got sick. The mother, his mother passed away, and his brother lost his job, and the dog needed surgery, and it's like all this stuff happened. And we were having a drink. He goes, I don't know how I'm gonna be able to get my kids, whatever what the kid wanted. And I said, well, his name is John. I'm like, John, you've spent like probably $4,000 in medical bills and helping people out. I go, you've done enough this year. You know what? You've done enough for Christmas. You helped enough people out. Maybe it's, your 4-year-old, your 5-year-old, they're gonna understand that maybe, I'm not going to get the $100 Christmas present this year. Maybe I'll get something small. And you know what? They most likely will probably appreciate it. And because their expectations haven't grown to becoming this gigantic thing.
So I just think the focus is always on the wrong stuff. Like I said, kids are a little different. I mean, if you're Christian or celebrate Christian Christmas in whatever way, it's neat for this to be like a special time of year for kids, and I like that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
But we have get-togethers with our friends. My wife and I do a lot together. We're friends, right? I mean, we hang out together, we do stuff. I mean, we don't need artificial milestones for gift giving, and
Sure.
so we limit the spending that we have on each other at Christmas literally to $100 because it's not about us. It's I think it's about this other stuff. So that's my
Just give me a bottle of wine. And I'll
philosophy.
be
But
happy.
I like the holidays, and my only issue with it is there are people who will give you presents, right?
Yeah.
You can't stop some people, and it kind of forces your hand at that point. You have to try to figure it out. So, like I said, I've been working on my friends for many years now.
I'm going to tell you, one of my friends, Bob, told me this great application for a lot of families. And maybe, probably it's too late this year, and I think our audience would find this interesting. It's called Elfster. Have you heard about it?
No.
So pretty much, like, everybody has this gigantic family now, right? Everybody has the cousins, and everybody's divorced, and everybody has the second spouses, and the boyfriends, and the boyfriend's family. So, like, my family is like 45 people for Christmas. It's insane. And it gets, ridiculous when you're buying everybody some gift. So what this
Right.
is, this application does like a Secret Santa thing almost, where everybody's name is drawn in that's participating in it. You set the gift limit, and one person buys one person something.
That's a good idea. And for whatever it's worth, within my own family, my extended family, when we get together at the holidays, which we do, right? So we've got brothers and sisters with their own families, and we have parents and all that stuff. We did that. That's kind of how it escalated downward. I mean, in the beginning, everyone was giving everyone presents, but then eventually we all had all these kids, and it was like, well, maybe we should always give presents for the kids, but we'll do exactly what you're saying, kind of a Secret Santa
that's
thing.
actually exactly what they do.
Yeah. So I want to escalate it further. My deal is let's not give presents to adults. I mean, I think it's cool. I think, like I said, I keep coming back to the same thing. I'm sorry, I'm repeating myself, but I really feel like this is about kids, and that's what makes it cool. And I look at my kids are giant gangly teenagers now. They're terrible. Mark came home from college, and it's like, and you forgot what it's like to live with this guy. Like, I love Mark, but I walk out there twice now. I've walked out of my office. There's been food and drink out in my den, just sitting there, and the TV's on. Where's Mark? And he's out in the world in his car. He's not even in the house. And it's like, what the fuck? Like, so I guess what I'm trying to impress upon you is that these times are going to pass,
Yeah.
and you need to enjoy them while you can.
Yeah. Well, thank you for that. Thank you for that.
Please.
Guys, we have so much to talk about. It's our last show before Christmas, and we are doing, to be in the Christmas spirit, to get into the Christmas spirit, we are doing a Worst of 2016 show. Meaning, we will discuss the things, the stories, the gadgets that had a terrible year. And, it's amazing because every year we do this, and we have things on the best of list, and we also have things on the worst of list that are the same exact thing. So it's always a lot of fun doing this with you guys. People in the chat room, if you're on gfqlive.tv, there's 100 and something people in there right now participating in there. Change your nickname, join in on the conversation. Let us know what you think was the worst tech story, tech item, tech company of the year. Guys, before we do that, I want to thank a new sponsor to the show. And we're talking about mobile gaming. We're talking about mobile phones. A lot of this is going to be on. We're talking about Skills. Esport for everyone. Skills is the worldwide leader in mobile esport. This is a hot thing now, Paul. This is what all the kids are doing, esport. It's a multi-billion-dollar business. It is amazing, actually. I was speaking to my brother, and my brother actually uses this application. Him and his friends play this. My brother's not into football, so he doesn't really do fantasy football. He doesn't really bet. But what he does, he's on Skills, and the way that it works, if you go to skills.com/GFQ right now on your iOS phone or Android device, a Skills with a Z, you can download your favorite free game. They have a whole list of games that participate. When you make your deposit to Skills, they'll double it, and when you use the promo code GFQ, you get an additional $10 in free bonus cash. Every Skills game is free to play, by the way, but what's really cool about this is that you have the option to compete for real cash. You can make a couple bucks, and right now, during the holiday season, everybody could do that. In fact, you're going up to $100 in a single tournament. Skills offers a variety of games on iOS and Android devices, including puzzle games, bubble popping, bowling, pool. So it doesn't matter what your skill is, what your ability in gaming is. They have something for everybody. These guys are great. They've been around for some time now. My brother, it's so funny. I was talking to him, and he's used this, and his friends use this, and they have a great offer. If you use promo code GFQ, you get an additional $10 in free bonus cash on top of what you deposited. That's skills.com/GFQ. I want to thank them for sponsoring the show, of course, and sponsoring the GFQ Network and the podcast. It's an amazing, amazing world right now when you could play a video game and make a couple bucks. It's unbelievable. Paul, let's talk about this.
Two things, Andrew.
Yes, sir.
First of all,
Yes. Ooh.
at your request,
Yes.
I am drinking alcohol.
You are
today.
drinking. I am. It's 2:00 in the afternoon. It's
I'm going to have to keep this a little on the
Andy.
light side because I do have other things I need to write
What-
today. That
yeah.
writing will be terrible.
You're keeping the drinking on the light side. The thing that you're drinking.
Yes.
So maybe
Yes.
maybe a light beer, right? Is that
No, I don't drink beer. This is not right now. I'm on a diet. This is a pirate rum. And it's pirate with
rum.
a Y. Pyrat, I think.
nice?
It is fantastic. It is not a spiced rum. It is a sipping rum, as
It's
we
a
say.
sipping
It
rum.
is a
Very
real-
nice. You know, I do not know much about rum. That is one of the things that I drink
I
a
don't
lot.
either,
I do not drink
be
rum
honest.
though. I know that. Is this from the place by your house?
No, so I was. I tried this recently. I was. I have a friend of a friend who owns a wine store down in Providence, Rhode Island. I asked him about that rum, and they didn't have it, but he recommended this very highly. And this is actually better. It's astonishing. The one by my house is called Privateer, which is also very good, by the way. But this is as good as a whiskey or a scotch. It's
Very
amazing.
nice.
Yeah.
I am drinking a wonderful rosé. It's actually a Shirley Temple in a glass. It's a very nice, nice fruity. It's a nice fruity
Yikes.
rosé.
Yikes.
No, it's not a sweet rosé. It's a fruity rosé.
And, well, okay.
Talking about fruity rosés. I was heckled for hours at Rattle and Hum on Friday.
Good.
I was at Rattle and Hum, and I sat there and I drank 4 bottles of rosé at that bar. Sat there,
Yikes.
4 bottles of rosé. They would not stop bringing it, and I felt the pressure of having to drink even more. So every time they walk by, I'm like chugging it down and doing. I was with like 3. Mary Jo Foley saw me at my worst. By the way, I was.
Yeah, yep.
I
believe
was. I was destroyed by the time that she shows up. But it was a lot of fun, and I got yelled at, and I got made fun of, and it was perfect. I love those girls there at Rattle and Hum. If you are in New York and you want to stop by a nice cool bar, go to Rattle and Hum on 33rd and 5th. So let's.
So,
yeah.
wait, hold on.
Yeah. Go ahead.
The second of the 2 things I wanted to mention was that this year sucked.
Oh yeah, big time.
It sucked.
Yeah, big time.
If you love technology, you were looking pretty hard to find some high points this year.
Well, you know what was interesting? There was nothing, and obviously someone's going to be like, well, SpaceX landed an unmanned, the rocket.
I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about
not
personal
advancements.
technology.
Yeah, personal.
That was tear-inducingly awesome.
Yeah.
I that was great. I'm not talking about that kind of stuff. They found a dinosaur tail in amber, and have now proven that these things had feathers, and they know the color of the feathers of this particular dinosaur.
That's amazing.
That stuff is amazing.
I told you the hideous.
I'm not talking
giant
about that
birds.
stuff. Yeah, just giant birds, right?
Yeah.
I'm talking about the suctitude that was personal technology in 2016. And you alluded to it earlier when you said, some of the stuff that was on our best of list was also on our worst of list.
never a
I think
good year.
that's,
Yeah.
that's the hint that maybe things didn't go so well.
So here's an example, okay? So a couple of years
Yep.
ago, and this always stands out. You know what company stood on our worst of list that 100% sucked? HP. When they announced that they were killing the
Sure.
PC division. Okay? That is that was what was it, 2011, whatever year it was, 2010,
Yep,
2011.
yep.
That you can't come up with but they also did this that was that great that year because it was so bad. Like that was such a big mistake, and they ended up not doing it. Thank God for them.
I was going to say that the thing they also did was actually not do that thing they were
Yeah.
they said they were going to do. So.
But the fact that they were planning on doing it, that was a clear they sucked. Palm,
Yeah.
for example, going out of business on the worst stuff. That was a bad year. They go on the worst stuff because they had a terrible year. But
Yep.
when you have things like Windows 10
Right.
on the best of and on the worst of, we need to have a conversation about this.
This is a big one, but let's save that for a little later because thankfully for Microsoft and for my sanity, Windows 10 was not the worst thing that happened in 2016.
It was not. Thank God. Thank God.
Thank God. What was it, Andrew? What was the worst thing? If you had I don't know, just the burning desire to find out what might have been wrong, that explosive issue.
Yeah. If I did have that burning desire and that explosive issue, I would say the MacBook Pro. No, I would say 100%. Very close. I would say 100%. The Samsung Note 7, the Galaxy Note 7 was. Yeah. I can't think of another company, another major product. I mean, global product, a flagship product that has ever had a.
There's been nothing like this in the history of ever. Personal electronics.
But you know what, though? Forget about the recall, right? Like, cars have had this. But cars have been able to say, okay, we're going to fix this problem.
Andrew, listen, we're lucky we can joke about this.
I know.
Seriously. There was a very high probability that somebody was going to get on a plane before or after they knew that they weren't supposed to do that. This thing was going to catch fire in a bag underneath the bowels of the plane, and something horrible was going to happen. And so that didn't happen, thank God. And we're lucky.
You know,
so we can joke about it. You know,
yeah, God forbid if that thing had happened, that would have been it for Sam. I mean, I cannot imagine a company coming back from something like that.
Oh, can you imagine? I mean, what usually like when a plane is taken down, it's some kind of a state-sponsored or terrorist-sponsored activity. It's like Samsung, the world largest maker of smartphones, took down a plane today. Can you imagine? So anyway, I'm sorry. This is not something to joke about, but we can joke about the Note 7 because that didn't happen, thankfully.
Yeah. They had a terrible year, and did they ever release how much it's going to end up costing them?
No, they only very recently revealed. I don't know, announcement. But it was revealed that they figured out what the problem was.
Yeah, but by the way, they did not. It was a third party that they hired that figured it out. They did not. They were not able to figure it out.
Okay. But whatever. I mean, so, and the theory is that it was just the lack of space for the batteries. Because one thing I guess I don't know a lot about this kind of stuff, to be honest, but batteries expand and contract with heat, and you actually need to build space into the enclosure. I've often wondered, because I talk to laptop makers especially, and they talk about the battery technology. If you think back to the either the MacBook or MacBook Pro announcement, Apple was talking about how they had like these slices of battery and they would fill the space in some very efficient way.
Yeah, it was like like an array more than anything else that overlapped in a way.
Yeah, I used to always think of a battery like the future batteries would be some kind of almost like a pourable technology, like you could basically fill every crevice in a device that was left over with battery, but that's not how it works. You have to build space in there for that. And I guess the sad part about what happened to the Note 7 is that by pushing so far, I hate to say this because it's Samsung and they're just copiers, but by innovating so much, so hard, they went too far. They flew too close to the sun.
So a couple of years ago, we had spoken about it on the show. I really got into learning about battery technology and why it's been progressing so slowly. Right, not necessarily by how much battery life we have on these devices, because if you think about it, the technology in our laptops and on our phones has not really gotten better. Our charging has gotten better, and our software has gotten better, where it's far more efficient. Our hardware has gotten better; it's far more efficient, but it's still very close to the same battery that we've had for many, many years. And I go down these rabbit holes. It's like when I get into conspiracy theories or like World War II stuff. It's mostly when my wife is out somewhere and I'm like a bottle and a half in, and I just start getting really obsessive about reading about something, and I go down that rabbit hole. It's like a 4-hour journey. And one of those nights was about battery technology and why it hasn't improved along with other technology. If you think about it, our software has gotten far more efficient. Our hardware has gotten, I mean, a chip that's 8 nanometers is putting out more power than what we had, 15 years ago. It's unbelievable. Sure. But batteries have not really progressed in that way, and it's because of exactly what you're saying, that it's a fine line on when they build the cells, right? So inside the battery, they can't really pack these things, and there has to be room.
I can't believe how much detail you're going into.
But okay, this is why. Okay, there's this one company that cracked it a couple years ago. This Israeli company that they were able to add half the space for the in between, and they were able to give the battery life some ridiculous amount. And then there was a polymer that they coated the inside of the battery with, where the battery would retain more power and wouldn't let it go. So it kept the charge. It was this amazing thing. Nothing has come of it. I'm sure it's bought by some major company now. It's sitting on the shelf and they're figuring out what to do in 20 years. But
it's probably alien technology.
Nazi technology, that they got from the aliens. And that was another conspiracy that Alex Jones told me about, which we'll talk about on the after show.
Fantastic.
But you're right. It is a very, very fine line that these companies have to walk when they're adding so much to this battery. You talk about a 3,800 milliamp. That's a quick charging battery that's supposed to hold a charge. It's not just slapping on a battery in here and saying, okay, this is going to be the size. There's a lot that goes into it. And Samsung, you're right. They flew too close to the sun.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
The funny thing is, it's not funny, but in many ways, Samsung was the only interesting thing that happened this year in this market. I mean, smartphones are great. Don't get me wrong. I mean, the iPhone 7 is better in most ways than the previous iPhones. The Samsung Galaxy S7 that you have is fantastic. But these things are just, they're kind of minor revisions over what came before.
Yeah.
And it's really interesting. I feel like this was the year the smartphone died. Not literally died, but died as kind of an item of great interest. I know when the new iPhone comes out next year, everyone will be very excited when Samsung unleashes new phones. It will generate a lot of interest. But I feel like the combination of our attention spans shrinking and also just this stuff maturing, that this market has just become there's more exciting things happening with PCs, which makes no sense. I think there's going to be some interesting tablet releases next year that might be a bigger deal in a interesting to enthusiasts perspective.
Do you think it's just
the case?
This is how the market is, right? The growth. You talk about the late 90s and the clock wars between AMD and Intel, where 400 megahertz, 500 megahertz every month. It was a new chip, a faster chip. It was really aggressive as far as what we got to, and then we hit this wall. That what is it? It's like three gigahertz is like the wall, right? Like 3.5 gigahertz. Like we can't go.
Yeah, I don't know if that was arbitrary, but yeah, that was the point where Apple, couldn't stick with the PowerPC because they were never able to achieve 3 gigahertz in a portable computer.
I think it's like 4, right? I think that's the number because we could get up to 4. AMD has gone over 4, but really,
right. But so we've moved on to more mature ways of looking at these processors, right? They're, megahertz per watt was a thing for a while, and now it's. I think we all agreed that, like the dual core last generation i5 that's in this little computer I'm using is more than enough power for most people, right? And that you're basically just tacking on stuff to adapt to that. If you're a gamer, you're going to need a graphics card. Most people don't.
Yeah.
If you have high-end kind of pro needs, you might need more RAM, more storage, whatever. Most people don't. So it just depends on your needs. But I mean, it's just not the same. Because you forced me to defend Apple a couple of weeks ago, I've spent most of the past 2 weeks watching old Steve Jobs videos and crying into my wine. And one of the things I watched very recently was the introduction of the original iMac. And I believe, off the top of my head, because I just watched it, I believe this was a 233 megahertz G3 PowerPC G3 processor, 4 megabytes, I think it was, or 32 gig, was some stupid megabyte thing of RAM and some small amount of storage and USB 1.0, and it was pathetic, right? The thing is, and they were talking about megahertz and all kinds of stupid stuff because it was still Intel versus PowerPC back then. But you know what? This stuff, it's like it never really mattered, Once you get to a certain level of performance for most people, it's fine. And I look at that iMac as ridiculous as a computer, but they sold millions of them and it was very popular, brought them back. And they could sell that thing today in altered form. It couldn't look like a ball like it did then, but they'd still sell millions of them. Like, who cares? Like, it just works fine. Because, by the way, because of you, Steve Jobs is perfect and I love Apple.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
So,
cheers.
Thank you for doing that to me. Thank you for ruining me. Yeah, you broke me. Cheers.
You know what's happening? You know what's really funny? I have become you, where I absolutely hate what Apple's doing right now, currently, and I'm on the fence of questioning my entire existence at this point as to why I've been a Mac user for all these years. I'm like Leah. I'm like Leah Remini discovering that that Scientology allegedly is this big sham. Allegedly, according to her, not me, guys. No, allegedly. So. So back to Samsung to bring this back. This was really financially devastating, but it's more of what the public thinks of them. Because I have to tell you, whenever I speak to someone, obviously most people just buy phones they buy. They think it's pretty. They like it in gold, and the Verizon guy told them to buy it. When people hear that I have a Samsung S7 Edge, they think I'm talking about the Note 7. And they constantly ask me if I know that these phones blow up, and I have to tell them, like, no, it's not this one, it's another one.
I don't know if you've heard this, Andrew. I realize you're not really in the tech industry, but Samsung phones blow up.
Yeah.
So just a kind of a PSA there for everybody.
Yeah, I've heard that.
Yeah.
It's terrible for them, and they won. If there was a medal to crown them the winners of the Biggest Loser competition in technology, Samsung would definitely have it at this point.
Well, there's a close second, and that close second is those people who still own a Note 7 and refuse to bring it back.
Yeah.
So it looks like they're all going to get shut out eventually.
Yeah, Verizon originally had said that they were not going to brick these phones, and now they turned around and said, no, they are going to brick it. So I think it's
not a moment too soon.
Not a moment too soon. Well, listen, I get it, man. I get it. It's really crappy when you wanted something and you buy it and they tell you, no, we have to take it back. I get it. It's really crappy, but these phones are not working. They're exploding.
Yeah. Yours may never explode.
Yours may never explode, but why would you risk it? Why? You put this thing in your pocket. You put this thing... I mean, in your back pocket, in your front pocket, you keep this thing next to your bed. Why would you even fathom to even say, oh, you know what? Screw these guys. It's all right. I don't care. If it blows up,
mattresses have so many warnings about being a fire hazard that they might as well just call them kindling. And you're going to put this thing next to your bed while you're asleep.
Oh, man.
Really? Yeah, people do that.
Yeah. It was... bad year for them. Bad year.
Sucked.
Yeah.
That sucked, Andrew.
Did you?
Sucked.
So, you know what's amazing here? I think the bigger story with them is they did not have a replacement in line for this. Like the Note 8 was not sitting on the back burner that they could have pushed out immediately with a fixed version, just called it that.
Yeah. I mean, that doesn't surprise me.
That they didn't have anything down the line that they could release?
No, I mean, they have one coming out next year. I mean, that they didn't have one ready for right now doesn't surprise me.
Yeah, and how many months has it been since the story? August, right? Initially? It was in August. Yeah. It was in August, so I mean, that's quite a few months.
Remember, too, the fumbling that occurred. At some point, they said, we figured it out. It's this kind of a battery. We're just going to swap those things out. Everything's going to be fine.
Yeah.
And then the reports started coming in. Nope, it's the other kind of battery too. It's not the kind of battery. This thing literally just catches on fire.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Have they discussed any lawsuits that have come down the line already?
I haven't heard a lot about that.
I'm sure there's going to be some sort of class action.
There will certainly be lawsuits from those people whose property was damaged. We've had car fires and home fires and things like that. So I assume those people are going to sue Samsung as well. Yeah.
Yeah. So
what a year.
What a year for Samsung. Not a good year, and obviously they're the kings on this list. So terrible. But let's take a moment and talk about something that is not terrible at all, Paul. not terrible at all. And that is Stay Roasted. I love this company. I talk about all my other advertisers, and I use almost every single product that we ever talk about here on the show. And I'm a huge fan of Stay Roasted because I get fresh coffee delivered to my house every couple, I want to say 2 weeks or 3 weeks. It depends on how I've set it up. They have a great deal. Get your first bag of coffee for free. You only pay the shipping when you visit stayroasted.com/GFQ. For most of us, and I know Paul, listen, I know Paul really well at this point. You like good coffee, Paul.
Mm-hmm.
You traveled the world and you've had great stuff. You've experienced what great coffee is. When I was younger, my mother would make the version of coffee that we had in our house was not these amazing European blends or the South American dark roast. No, or this African roast. No, we would have instant coffee, instant Folgers coffee. And that's what I thought coffee was until later on in life that I experienced coffee. And I'm one of these people that walks to the store. I go out and I spend $4.50 on a cup of coffee because that's the only place, and I know I could get good beans from this, small coffee shop. So I buy this crazy expensive coffee. Well, it does not have to be expensive for you. If you sign up to Stay Roasted, you get this coffee delivered to you, handpicked from this country's America's top craft coffee roasters. You get it delivered to your house for around 60 cents per brewing cup, which is way less than $4. These guys are great. It's amazing. And you can try it yourself. Visit stayroasted.com/GFQ. You get your first bag of coffee for free. You only pay the shipping. And then any additional bag, you get 15% off, which is great. By the way, this makes a phenomenal gift for anybody that loves coffee. You can pick what kind of roast you want, how many bags you want. If you like a light roast, medium roast, dark roast, you pick it all. Great guys. I absolutely love them. Stayroasted.com/GFQ.
By the way.
Yes, sir.
On a related note,
yes.
While you were reading that, or saying that, my wife actually questioned a bill on our on our checking account, which was from Stay Roasted.
Oh, yeah, because you signed up, yeah.
Yeah, because just so everyone knows, we're paying for it, and my son gets this. He's goes to college, and so we actually are sending him coffee from Stay Roasted on it's a subscription kind of thing. Yeah. It's cheap.
You know what? I have to tell you, it is. I thought it would. Real talk. I did not think it would be cheap. This is way cheaper than when I go to the store and I buy coffee. And
it was the bill, by the way, was for $11.
Yeah. So and it's very good coffee. So sending a kid off in the right direction.
The funny thing is, when we started sending it to him, we got him a coffee maker. We got him the coffee subscription, right? He's all excited to have coffee in his room. And then the first shipment arrives and it's beans.
Yeah.
It's like, what do I do with this? I don't understand.
Yeah.
We had to send him a what do you call it? A mixer or whatever what do you call it?
Blender? A blender?
A blender. Yeah. The thing, a grinder.
A grinder. Yeah. Let's talk about Microsoft, Paul.
Okay.
Windows
First of all,
10.
I want to thank Samsung for knocking Microsoft off the top of the list.
Yeah.
It's conceivable, not just because I kind of write about Microsoft for a living, but it's been kind of a tough year. And so I wrote down a couple things. Some of these aren't huge for a lot of people, I know, but some of these I think are huge for a lot of people. And there were some big, terrible things this year, unfortunately. Yeah. The worst one, however, is Skype. It is the bane of my existence. Yeah. And I try to joke about it because it's the only thing I can do to keep myself from smashing things. But when you called me earlier in the day, all of my devices light up, and I answer it on my PC, and all of my devices still go for a little while. And it's like that ringing notification sound. It makes me crazy. I just hear it in my nightmares, like
constantly.
All the time. It's like echoing when it's not there.
It's almost like when I hear the baby crying, but the baby's not really crying. It's
exactly like that. Is exactly
that's the Skype ring. Yeah.
That means you are traumatized. It means you have PTSD. It means you are never really going to recover from this. And that, by the way, is what being a parent is all about.
By the way, let me just say this. I have not ate anything today because I'm back on my diet. Do you see how red I'm getting?
Yeah.
I'm getting loaded.
Yes. Right. You're going to want to slow down in the rosé there.
This is all I've had.
Yeah. Well, your cheeks are literally the color of that glass.
I've gotten really red. Okay. Sorry, Paul.
No, that's okay. No, it's okay. The truth is, I don't want to talk about it. I hate Skype. I hate it.
Well,
I hate it.
There was, so Windows 10, the problems were not just one or two big issues. It was a long line of issues that
Oh, yeah,
happened in
no.
Windows 10.
No, Windows
between-
10 was the gift that kept on giving in 2016. You know, I don't even know where to start on Windows 10.
You pick it. Yeah.
The only proper way to start was because it happened in the first half of the year. Was what I dubbed Upgrade Gate, which was Microsoft's ever escalating attempts to get people to upgrade from Windows 7 or Windows 8.1 to Windows 10 using deceptive means, and by redesigning an application to work in a non-standard way that would fool people into installing Windows 10.
By the way, we're not even talking about Windows 10 anniversary. We're talking about Windows 10.
No, we're talking about because
It seeped into this year.
It was the first 6 months of the year. These guys started doing this in July of 2015, and they didn't stop doing it until June of 2016. That's how long it took. They made it worse over that period of time. They made it worse.
I don't know.
And when called to the carpet on making it worse, they just said, "Yeah, that's what we're doing." They literally didn't apologize for it. They didn't have some explanation where you kind of went, "Oh, okay, that makes sense." They literally said, "Yeah, that's what we're doing. What, do you have any other questions?" No? Good, because we're done talking about this. Their goal was to get Windows 10 on as many computers as possible, which, by the way, is understandable. But the way they went around and did it was wrong.
So
and,
here's a question for you.
It's indefensible.
What was the number? Within a couple of years, it was going to be on 1 billion computers, right? 2 years?
Within 2 to 3 years, 1 billion computers.
Do you think
devices.
the aggressiveness of the deployment of Windows 10 on computers had to do with the fact that somebody realized that this is impossible, that they're going to be on 1 billion computers, and was like, guys, what are you doing? A billion?
Here's the
billion?
no. Listen, they're going to get to 1 billion.
They will. No, absolutely. Not in 2 years. I mean, obviously, they're not going to.
Not in 3 years either.
Not in 3 years either.
They'll get there. They'll get there. It's okay. Yeah. Some people have, Microsoft. They try to come out with reasons why, like, they failed in this goal. Like, oh, we thought Windows Phone was going to do better. Bullshit.
Because Windows
under
Phone
the
counts,
rosiest projections, Windows Phone was never going to put you over the top.
5%.
This was always going to be the case from the day they announced this figure. The vast majority of people running Windows 10 are going to be doing so on what we would call a PC. There are 1.5 billion PCs in the world. They figured if they gave this thing away for free, we're going to have an unprecedented upgrade, figure. Which, by the way, they did, but just not as big as they thought. And that's how we're going to get there. There's no doubt this is going to happen, and the upgrade did not happen at the rate that they wanted to. The sad thing is, the upgrade rate for Windows 10 was far better than any other previous version of Windows.
Absolutely.
Part of it, yes, was because it was free.
It was the best version of Windows ever released.
It was the best version of Windows ever, and they actually did a really good job on a technical level, making that upgrade reliable.
Yeah.
That was something that never was the case in the past. They did a great job on that. But they completely undermined it by this upgrade gate thing. And ironically, I think because of ongoing bad press about this forced Windows 10 upgrade, it's this psychological little dig that people get in the back of their mind. They know Microsoft is trying to force this thing down their throat. They see the crappy advertisement that has no way to close it. And in some terrible cases, they've experienced when they do close it because they want to get rid of it, that it just installs. Because Microsoft changed the rules halfway through. That's what triggers an install. So I think they have done so much to undermine themselves that they may never recover from this. This thing has done as much damage as Windows 8 did. It's a huge mistake.
For lack of a better term, their propaganda machine was failing in my eyes because Mary Jo Foley put out that story about how her machine got upgraded randomly.
Yeah.
You remember that? But I also was affected by that.
Oh, yeah.
My machine, I woke up one day, and this is not, and I say this all the time, and
it happened to my wife.
People say, maybe you clicked on something, maybe you got fooled because it was a little confusing.
Oh, yeah, there's always something. You always doubt yourself.
No.
You must have done something. No,
this is a machine that is not upgraded ever. I do not do any Windows updates. I just let it sit. It does everything on its own. Everything just works. One day I wake up and it says...
nothing makes me sadder than the kind of mistake where you're just hurting yourself. There's one... Look, there are things, that happen that are not, your fault, and that they just happen, and it's bad circumstances, whatever. And there are things you think you're doing something nice, and it kind of falls back in your face. It doesn't work out the way you thought. They should never have done this. This was such a huge mistake. And but it wasn't a mistake. It was provably a mistake a year and a half ago. And I wrote about it, and everyone else complained about it too, and lots of us did. I mean, it wasn't me, but and they and they kept going, and they made it worse. People complained. We'll make it worse again. It would be a joke. It would be something funny, kind of like the Samsung thing, if it didn't hurt so many people.
Yeah.
And wasn't so obviously wrong-headed. It's so disappointing to see a company with the integrity of Microsoft, with a product as strong as Windows 10, to just completely undercut it from the inside. It makes me really sad that they did that. It's just too bad.
So let's go down a list of some of the mistakes that they had. Obviously, it was a rollout mistake that was very aggressive, and it was very tricky, and people got confused, and I get that. The webcam issue, which was hysterical because we were affected by this for months.
Well, this is now you're talking about the anniversary.
And now I'm talking about the anniversary.
Oh, the anniversary update. Yeah, so that, of course, that happens mid-year. Yes, and so the antenna gate thing was interesting to me. I just call everything gate now, just as a joke. But the antenna thing, I'm sorry, it's not an antenna thing. It's a webcam thing.
Wrong year. That's Apple.
Wrong year. Yeah, sorry about that. Is unbelievable as well. But again, just a mistake. But still, it's unbelievable that this kind of thing slips through all of the processes they have, where someone on the Windows team discovers that there's a video codec that causes a problem. It's used by Skype by literally hundreds of millions of people. And his solution is not to fix it. It's to just drop support for it. So back before the anniversary update shipped, like you said, I ran into this because I was running the beta through the Insider program. And I remember I kept having all those horrible freezing problems. And just like you were saying, I suspect it's me. I suspect it's Skype because Skype is the source of all of my problems. I suspect it's something other than Windows 10. And I reinstall the OS. I reinstall the OS. I go back to preview versions. I tried all these different things. And I did figure out some kind of a weird workaround. You may remember that kind of did fix it for me. But that was maybe
formatting and starting over.
No, it had to do with, remember, I didn't install the OEM drivers after the fact. If I just ignored that.
Yeah.
I don't know why that worked, but it did. So here's the problem. There were other things, right? There was a Kindle issue where if you plugged a Kindle into the device, it would blue screen your PC. There was one other thing actually I've forgotten about, but there were basically
I have a whole
these
bunch
things
here. I'll tell you a whole bunch when you're done.
Well, I mean, but the point is, this is stuff that should have been caught. I mean, the weird thing about this is Windows 10 is the most highly tested, publicly tested operating system in the history of personal computing. It's the Windows Insider program has over like 7 million active users. Microsoft has incredible processes which they put in place over many, many years to judge the reliability of their systems and make sure everything's a go. They green light it and they ship it out to the world. Anniversary update today is still not fully deployed because there are still configurations out there in the world where the drivers, the whatever, on individual PC configurations are not compatible. This thing, it should have been like a 30-day rollout, a 60-day rollout max. We're hitting into 6 months.
Yeah.
So the creators update's coming in spring, and hopefully I have a feeling that the types of problems we saw with this version will be fixed, right? They won't happen again. But don't you sort of wonder?
I don't know.
What are they going to screw up next?
Well, here was the thing. A lot of it was passing the buck off to hardware makers, software makers, and that's never what people want to hear.
Sure.
My personal issues were unbelievable. I mean, I did not have a lot of these with Windows 10 when I put it on my production machine. I had them with Anniversary, and I was stunned at the problems and the workarounds I had to come off, like disabling Secure Boot.
Yeah.
To install drivers, like to install capture card drivers. My video card did not really work well with Anniversary. My IP audio drivers did not work, and I had to do a whole go around as far as disabling Secure Boot and installing it as an admin via I was going to say terminal. Wow, this rosé has gotten me. Going into command prompt and installing.
It's Antenna Gate, Andrew. Why can't you remember that?
I know everything is Antenna Gate. So I mean, my problems were ridiculous to one issue where on the X99 Asus chipset, their motherboards, some of the CPUs were not running right. I had to wait for an update from Asus to fix it. So there was a whole ton of them. I was stunned at the fact because it was not really this was the first time that I realized that Microsoft is absolutely right. This is a whole new version of Windows. It's not just like a service pack.
Right. No, it's not.
You know, this is
it's a major
update every time. Every time they do this, it's every time. So for me, these were major mission critical problems, and you never want to hear, "Oh, we don't know about this," or "It's them."
Right.
It's them.
This happened to me during the UpgradeGate stuff. No, sorry, not UpgradeGate, the anniversary update stuff, and I talked to Microsoft about this on a few occasions, actually. But this is something I've experienced over the years. I don't find myself to be particularly smart or perceptive or, insightful or anything like that. I really don't. But the sheer number of times someone from Microsoft has said to me, "Oh yeah, that's interesting. We never really thought of that before. We never saw that problem before. Thanks for bringing it to our attention." It's like, seriously. Yokel from Dedham figured it out. Like, I don't believe that. Like, it's just strange to me.
Well, on the other hand, you have 7 million people on the Insider program, and
I know
nobody found this webcam issue.
Actually, people had. The issue was that it never was escalated. Like, they have this triaging system where they, people can upvote things and whatever, and it's supposed to get rid of duplicates and make sure, it's how they determine what needs to be fixed. It's also how they determine what features they need to have. If enough people want something, they'll probably do it. It all fell apart. I mean, UpgradeGate was, or not, I keep calling it UpgradeGate. The anniversary update thing was a AnniversaryGate, I don't know, whatever you want to call that, was, it's like any other natural disaster. It's like this crazy sequence of events and steps. They just didn't foresee it.
I'm sorry, I called it Insiders, or no, I called it Insider. That's Skype, right? Skype is the Insider program. Everything.
No, Windows 10 has. No, Windows 10 is. Oh, I see what you're saying. I'm sorry. The Insiders.
Insider versus Insiders. Yeah.
They should have spelt it with a C.
And a couple capitals,
like a Mac thing.
Yeah. What else happened with them this year?
Boy. Well, the other big problem I had with Windows 10 this year was the advertising stuff, which is an ongoing issue. Frankly, it's nothing new to 2016, but. When they added advertising to the operating system in Windows 8, I said, guys, this is a slippery slope. Once you've opened the door to advertising in this product, you are going to undermine the integrity of it with your customers because you're going to escalate that advertising. And they've done that in Windows 10 in a variety of ways. There's advertising in the start menu that's, on the lock screen. They're experimenting now with putting it in File Explorer. Look, I'm not going to say anything stupid like, if there are ads in File Explorer, that's it. I'm switching to the Mac or the Linux or some stupid thing like that. But boy, do they make it a tough sell at that point. I mean, it just seems like it's heading in that direction. And I feel very strongly that's a mistake. This thing, that stands in sharp contrast to the quality that we see in products like Surface. And HP and Dell and Lenovo premium products. You just can't do that. It's just a terrible, terrible thing to do to people.
Well, talking about premium products, I do think one thing that we did not mention is that it was a very good year for premium products on the PC side. Because there were some great devices. Well, you know what, though? Great devices, right? Dell put out some good stuff. HP put out some good stuff.
Mm-hmm.
We're kind of getting there.
But we're not here to talk about the good stuff.
I know.
Microsoft put out some good stuff, but it didn't work for like the entire year.
And then when they said that it did work.
Yeah, even when they said that it did. There's stuff I didn't mention in here. I mean, SurfaceGate was really about the Skylake-based reliability issues in Surface Book and Surface Pro 4. But you know what? In fact, I'm not 100% sure we're out of it, but we've had at least 6 months of Surface Pro 3 battery issues as well, speaking of battery problems. Instances where people paid, I think, $250 to get their battery swapped out, only to find out later that Microsoft was doing that swap for free because it was their fault, and then not giving those people a refund.
That's terrible.
I mean, there's all kinds of problems with Surface. And so they're beautiful products to look at. They're well designed in a sense. And that's what we say about the MacBook as well, right? I mean, they're beautiful to look at, but they don't work right. Hopefully that's something they can fix for 2017. And hopefully it's something that's fixed in the products they're currently selling, which are last year's products, with all the latest updates installed and everything. And so I don't know. I mean, Surface Book is hard for me because I have one and I love it. And this thing fails me in some way almost every single day. I came down one time in the past 7 days, heard a hissing sound in my living room, and it's a Surface Book. It's just sitting there, closed, hissing away, for all I know, frying its internal components.
You're kidding me.
Twice in the past week. And I mean, literally in the past week. This is not stuff from July or June
So
or
what is
something.
it? The fan is just going?
Yeah, the fan's going to town. No idea why.
6,000
I had-
RPM. That thing is just flying.
Yeah, I had 2 instances in the past week, literally the past week, where I open the thing on. It doesn't wake up. I had to hit the button. Okay, fine. It comes to life, and the cursor for the mouse is up in the corner of the screen, and it's clicking repeatedly, and the whole screen's flashing.
Oh, my God.
I can't do anything to move it. I can't, get out of it and shut it down. I have to literally hold the button down and just shut it off. Doesn't matter if anything was running because I can't select it to close it cleanly because it's up in the corner clicking nothing.
Oh, my God. That's
So I had to lose whatever I was working on. That's how that works. And your Surface Book might be fine. That's how screwy this is. Yours could be fine. Yours is terrible. Yours is terrible. Yours is fine. You just don't know what you're going to get. It's like a little roulette wheel of reliability, and I'm sorry, but that's not good reliability. That tells me they haven't figured out that hard computer science problem. So unfortunately for 2016, for all the good stuff, because again, like I love the device. The Surface Pro 4 is awesome. Surface Studio, are you kidding me? They're in the negative column. There's no doubt about it.
So we are running out of time here.
Yep.
But there's a couple more things to talk about.
We can race through these.
We could race through them, or we could put them on the bonus show.
That's true. We can do that too.
And then as a Christmas gift, we'll put it out for everybody.
Okay.
We could do that.
Let's do that.
You know what I'm
fine.
doing right now? I'm on baby duty, and I am monitoring my kid in the crib
You're really
right
just
now.
kind of mailing this one in, is what I'm saying.
Yeah. She's reading a
What
book.
is this? Is that like an Amazon tablet? What is
No,
that?
it's an iPad. Yeah, it's an iPad.
Okay, look at
Yeah.
it. Why is the bezel so big? Is that what they look like?
That is what. The bezel's big because the video is. It doesn't.
Oh, I see. Okay,
Yeah,
okay,
it's a
sorry.
widescreen video. So
Yeah, I get you. What is that, like a first generation iPad?
iPad Air.
Okay.
Is it? Yeah. Yeah, it is an Air. But what we'll do is we'll bring some of this stuff to the post show, and then we'll put that on the feed as well. But
Okay.
there were a lot of stuff. If you want to just go through it really quickly, just like run down the list.
No, let's just wait. Let's just
Okay.
wait because everyone can ask.
One thing I do want to mention is everybody here should get a Thurrott.com membership. Paul, do you not agree?
Do I not agree?
Do you not agree?
Andrew, I do agree.
Oh.
Of course I do.
Because right now, Thurrott.com is running a great sale. Your first gift of the holiday season, 25% off Thurrott Premium membership. That's $48 for the year, $575 per month. You choose if you want to pay for the year or monthly. This is a great offer for loyal readers of Thurrott.com. I am a subscriber. I am a reader. I am a listener of Thurrott.com. Everything that's on Thurrott, I go there every day. That's one of my top websites that I go to. I go to you guys, and I go to all my Apple websites. That's my entire day. And then wrestling. My entire day. In that order. Because gradually things have to get worse, right? I'm telling you right now, go sign up. Thurrott.com/holiday/FRD. 25% off Thurrott Premium membership. This deal will expire soon. January 3rd is the last date for this deal. And I recommend you guys go sign up. Paul, what are you doing? Anything coming up in the new year? Are you traveling? Are you going to CS?
Yep, I am going to CS.
First time in a long time.
Yep, not too excited about that, but
Yep.
what are you going to do? That's the only concrete thing. I'd like to go to Mobile World Congress this coming year, but we'll see how that goes.
In Barcelona?
Yep.
I would love to go to that.
Yeah.
Need a little assistant? Maybe I could help you out. Carry your bag.
Just carry the cameras.
Yeah, carry the cameras. Yeah, I would love that. I'd go to Spain. Absolutely.
Yep.
Perfect trip. Guys, go to the website, gfknetwork.com. You can subscribe. We're everywhere podcasts are available. If you're watching live, stay tuned. We are now going to do What the Talk. It is exclusively available on patreon.com/whatthetech. You can fund us there if you like what we do, you like the show. Send us a couple bucks, and it allows us to keep doing this every single time, every single week. Also, if you're buying stuff on Amazon, go to gfq.co/Amazon, gfq.co/Amazon when you make a purchase. Thank you. My buddy just had surgery, and he's staying here with me. And like, this is a guy that was just out of the ER 2 days ago, and I'm making him get me coffee. Now I feel terrible. How do you feel? Good? You feel? He said he feels a whole lot worse since he had to walk across the whole house.
Nice.
All right, go take a nap. I'll come cuddle with you later. It's okay. Guys, go to our website, gfqnetwork.com. If you're watching this live, stay tuned. If not, go and listen to What the Talk. We'll see you all later. Bye-bye for now.